IRS can't hold on to its own workers' private information. What makes you think it can hold on to yours? To former Texas Congressman, presidential candidate Ron Paul, who has an idea, at least when it comes to the IRS. Why don't you just get rid of it altogether? Congressman, what do you make of this?
Well, it's a mess as usual, and I still like my idea of getting rid of them. But, maybe there's I have trouble figuring out what the motivation is. But maybe they knew that Obama was going to pay time and a half for overtime. And if you go home and take your work at home and you work overtime, maybe they thought they were going to get more pay. But it's such an outrage. Now, the individual that's involved, when you ask for information, the IRS says, oh, no, we can't tell you anything about her because we want to protect the privacy of that particular individual. So you're absolutely correct when you suggest that, if they can't watch this information on themselves, and this is what happens when government gets too big, they start spying on each other, that what's going to happen when Obamacare, if that ever gets really going, that's all based on IRS agents. So privacy is dead and gone. I think it's a general principle. It's just not the IRS. It's a TSA. It's the NSA. And it's the principle of the Fourth Amendment. If they knew and understood that, we wouldn't have this problem. But this is another typical example of the government not caring about us, and it seems like they're running just out of control.
Well, the odd thing, as you pointed out with the IRS, is no matter all these screw-ups, and earlier, with the concern about targeting conservatives, I understand there's an investigation going. I don't see much coming of it. But leaving that aside, we sort of promote up, and we keep saying, all right, you've done such a boffo job handling this that now we're going to give you complete charge of the financial aspects of the new health care law. So, but there's no pause here. And I guess the argument is they're the best entity to supervise this. But your argument is what, Congressman? The government and all of these agencies, the IRS included, has simply gotten too big, too unwieldy?
Yeah, they're out of control. And the other thing is I have come to the point where I don't have much faith and confidence of any investigation or any commission because they never punish anybody. It's usually a cover-up. And you can look at any one of them, you don't see government agents getting punished. It's usually that they get covered up. You know who gets punished? The whistleblower is more likely to be punished because they're revealing what is happening. And if you had one person come forth and start talking about the IRS, they probably would end up getting punished. But if there's another investigation, I don't have much faith and confidence. So that's why I place confidence in smaller government and a limited role for government to protecting of liberty, but not to run our lives and run the economy and believe in this principle that deficits don't matter, and if you come up short, you just print money. Those are days that are ending, and I think, fortunately so, that it's a failed system, and eventually we'll have to wake up and decide what the role of government ought to be in this country, and I have a precise idea about what the role of our government ought to be. Well,
I know you've been warning about this long before a lot of these privacy issues hit, but part of the big concern was, I remember particularly when you were running for president, is that it gets too big and unwieldy, you get a lot of this stuff happening. And that begs the next question, whether it's too far gone now, just as it is, that on a percentage basis, if you figure that you're going to have 10% of whatever a given budget is, waste, fraud, abuse, it's law, something, someone's creaming something, then these numbers are so gargantuan, we're going to see a lot more of this. It's 20,000 IRS workers today. It might be 200,000 American tax filers tomorrow. And there's nothing we can do about it because we can't even control it.
And I've always argued that we should work to wean the government off, get more people in Congress, vote a certain way. But I really don't have any confidence at all in that. It's sort of like the issue of going toward a sound monetary policy. Do we wean the people off, of QE and eventually get back to not monetizing debt? No. I think there's too many special interests, too many privileged people, too much in the budget for special interests. And the little guy, the middle class, the retirees, low interest rates, that's good for this and that, but it's not good for people who save money. And they're not going to change that. This is going to continue. The momentum is too great for the growth of big government.
Then what do you think of those who argue, though, we're doing this, all these warts and problems notwithstanding, we're doing all of this for your own good?
Oh, yeah, that's always the case. We're going to take care of you. We want a fair society. In economics, we want to have fairness, and we're always doing this for your safety. Well, the government's supposed to be there to protect our liberty, and we're supposed to worry about most of the other things. But they're always going to do it. It's always a humanitarian instinct to say, oh, we have to take care of them. People aren't smart enough to do this.
That's exactly
and yes,
right.
we have to invade their privacy because they won't be safe and secure. It goes on and on. So we have accepted as a nation a role for government which was never intended by our Constitution, was never intended in a free society. So in a way, we're in a revolutionary stage. We either have to change that or we're going to continue to go downhill. And this is one of the reasons why the economy is in stagnation, because nobody's giving up on the status quo. I mean, how many
beefing it up. We're
bureaus...
beefing it up, not status quo. We're going more quo.
How many bureaus or agencies of government ever get truly repealed? No, it's a continued expansion and dependency. And now people think they have a right to all this. They don't think that, that you and I might be paying taxes and therefore they're getting some temporary benefits and thank you. They have an absolute right. A demand, a need becomes a right. And really, in a free society, you have a right to your life. And you ought to have the right to keep the fruits of your labor. And the system works a lot better. We had a good taste of that in our early history, but we've given up on it. And it's eroding steadily. And I think this is just another example of the mess that we've created. But I still hold out hope that if you offer the solution to the system that we've had for so long, that a generation will come along and say, hey, look, we can't depend on the government to take care of us, and we don't need all this mischief overseas, so we need something new and different. Of course, that's where I find a good reception among the young people who say, it doesn't look like it's working out for us. We've worked hard. We got through college, borrowed a lot of money. We can't get a job.
Yeah.
So
they are getting sick of it. They are getting sick of it. We'll see.
I think they're open.
Congressman, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.